Welcome back to Whispered Tales, where every word brings you closer to confidence. Today's story, How to Build a Strong English Foundation Even If You Are a Beginner, will guide you step by step to mastering English from the very start. Building a strong English foundation begins with small, manageable steps. For many beginners, the thought of mastering grammar, vocabulary, listening, and speaking at once feels overwhelming. Smart learners, however, know that starting small is the first secret. Imagine Emma, a young learner sitting by her window with a notebook and a soft cup of tea. Instead of trying to memorize an entire textbook in one night, she chose 3 new words to learn today. She wrote them gently on sticky notes, repeated them softly to herself, and made a simple sentence for each. The key here is consistency over quantity. Even 10 minutes a day, when practiced calmly and regularly, is more effective than hours of rushed study. Emma repeated her small steps each day, and slowly her confidence grew, like a flower opening its petals in the morning light. One of the quietest and most effective ways to build a strong English foundation is listening. Smart learners understand that before speaking fluently, the mind needs to absorb the sounds, rhythm, and patterns of the language. In a softly lit living room, Liam put on a gentle podcast designed for English beginners. He didn't worry about understanding every word. Instead, he focused on listening for rhythm, intonation, and familiar words. He noticed how sentences began and ended, how questions sounded different from statements, and how common phrases repeated in context. Smart learners know that listening is the first step to speaking. They let English flow into their minds, gently, without forcing memorization. This passive absorption creates a natural familiarity, making reading, writing, and speaking easier over time. Liam also paired listening with soft reflection. After a few minutes, he paused, repeated a sentence softly, and tried to recognize words he had heard. This slow, deliberate engagement helped the brain link sounds with meaning, laying the foundation for stronger comprehension. Listening does not need to be perfect or intensive. Even 10 minutes a day consistently helps the mind adapt to the language's flow. Smart beginners create a quiet daily habit, letting English become a natural part of their environment. By the end of the evening, Liam felt a soft sense of progress. He hadn't forced himself to speak or memorize everything. He had simply allowed English to settle gently in his mind, ready to grow tomorrow. This is another secret habit. Smart learners listen daily, letting English enter their minds naturally, forming the quiet roots of understanding and fluency. A strong English foundation is built not only by listening, but also by speaking. Many beginners hesitate, fearing mistakes, but smart learners know that errors are part of the gentle learning process. In a cozy study, Sophie practiced speaking softly to herself. She repeated simple sentences she had heard earlier, forming small conversations with an imaginary friend. Sometimes she stumbled on words or grammar, but instead of frustration, she smiled softly and tried again. Smart learners understand that speaking builds confidence. Even a few words spoken aloud each day train the brain and mouth to produce English naturally. Mistakes are not failures, they are gentle lessons guiding learners toward improvement. Sophie also practiced speaking in context.
She described her surroundings, narrated her daily activities, or read sentences from a book aloud. By linking language to real-life situations, she made learning practical, memorable, and meaningful. They do not compare themselves with fluent speakers. They focus on their own journey, celebrating each new word or sentence as a quiet achievement. Even short, slow practice sessions accumulate into noticeable improvement over time. By the end of her evening, Sophie felt a soft sense of accomplishment. Her voice had spoken English into the room, not perfectly, but clearly, confidently, and gently. She knew that speaking daily without fear was laying the foundation for fluency. This is another secret habit. Smart learners speak regularly, embracing mistakes, and allow their confidence to grow softly and steadily with each attempt. Reading is a gentle but powerful way to strengthen an English foundation. Smart learners start with simple materials and gradually build their understanding, letting vocabulary and grammar sink in naturally. In a quiet bedroom, Oliver curled up with a beginner-friendly storybook. He read slowly, savoring each sentence, and paused to think about the meaning of new words. Instead of rushing, he highlighted softly, wrote a few words in his notebook, and imagined the scenes in the story. Smart learners understand that reading builds comprehension. Even without memorizing grammar rules, seeing words in context teaches sentence structure, expression, and vocabulary. Oliver noticed patterns, how verbs changed, how questions were formed, and how simple sentences connected to make a story flow.
They also combine reading with listening. Oliver sometimes read aloud, gently linking sight and sound, which helped his pronunciation and reinforced understanding. He didn't stress about perfection. He knew that repeated exposure and gentle practice were far more effective than trying to master everything at once. Smart learners also pick materials that spark curiosity and interest. A short story, a comic, or a favorite topic keeps the mind engaged, making learning pleasant and motivating. Reading becomes not a task, but a soft journey of exploration. By the time Oliver closed his book, he felt calm, inspired, and quietly accomplished. He had absorbed new words, structures, and ideas, all without pressure, allowing his mind to grow steadily and naturally. This is another secret habit. Smart learners read daily, starting with simple materials, linking sight and sound, and letting comprehension develop gently over time. A strong English foundation relies on words, the building blocks of communication. Smart learners understand that vocabulary grows slowly, steadily, and naturally, rather than through overwhelming lists or memorization drills. In a soft, peaceful corner, Amelia kept a small notebook dedicated to new words. Each day, she chose 3 to 5 words she encountered while reading, listening, or watching English content. She wrote each word softly, noted its meaning, and created a gentle sentence to use it in context. Smart learners know that context is key. Words are best remembered when linked to ideas, images, or experiences. Amelia would imagine situations where she might use each word or connect it to a memory or story in her mind. This created a quiet, personal connection that made the words easier to recall. They also review gently. Rather than forcing all words into memory at once, smart learners revisit them slowly, spacing repetitions over time. A word learned today might be softly repeated tomorrow, then again in a few days, each time reinforcing understanding without pressure. By evening, Amelia felt quietly satisfied. She hadn't learned dozens of words in a single night, but she had absorbed a few deeply, giving her a gentle but strong foundation to build on tomorrow. This is another secret habit.
Smart learners build vocabulary slowly and gently, connecting words to meaning, context, and sound, allowing knowledge to settle naturally in the mind. Writing is one of the quietest but most powerful tools for building a strong English foundation. Smart learners know that writing allows the mind to organize thoughts, reinforce vocabulary, and strengthen grammar gently over time.
In a softly lit study, Ethan opened his notebook and began writing a few sentences about his day. He didn't aim for perfection. He simply expressed his thoughts slowly and clearly. Each sentence was a small step, a gentle practice that built confidence and fluency over time. Smart learners focus on quality, not quantity. Even a few sentences written calmly each day are more effective than pages of rushed text. Ethan occasionally reread his sentences, softly correcting mistakes and noted patterns to help him improve gently without stress. They also combine writing with reading and listening. By reflecting on phrases heard or read earlier, they create sentences that feel natural and meaningful. This soft repetition strengthens memory, making vocabulary and grammar more instinctive. Ethan sometimes used prompts to guide his writing, simple topics like "my favorite food" or "a peaceful evening." These gentle prompts encouraged him to write consistently while keeping the process enjoyable. He didn't compare himself to others or demand perfection. He focused on his own steady progress. By the time Ethan closed his notebook, he felt calm, accomplished, and quietly motivated. His writing had become a gentle bridge connecting new words, sentence structures, and ideas. Each day's practice, no matter how small, contributed to a strong, lasting foundation in English. This is another secret habit. Smart learners practice writing softly every day, focusing on clarity, gentle correction, and personal connection, allowing their skills to grow steadily and naturally. Building a strong English foundation requires not only learning words and grammar, but also speaking with gentle confidence. Smart learners understand that fluency grows gradually and confidence is nurtured through daily, patient practice. In a quiet living room, Noah practiced speaking softly to himself. He repeated sentences from his reading and listening sessions, slowly forming thoughts in English. Even if he stumbled, he continued with a calm smile, knowing that every attempt strengthens his foundation. Smart learners do not fear silence or mistakes. They allow themselves to pause, think, and find the right words without pressure. Noah sometimes recorded himself softly reading a short paragraph and then listened back, noticing patterns, pronunciation, and natural flow. This gentle self-reflection helped him grow more comfortable and aware of his speaking style. They also practice speaking in real-life contexts, even in small ways. Noah described his surroundings, narrated daily activities, or even whispered short conversations to an imaginary friend. By connecting language to life, learners make English feel practical, alive, and meaningful. Smart learners remember that confidence is a soft, quiet companion, not a loud declaration. Speaking gently, consistently, and mindfully strengthens both language skills and inner assurance. By evening, Noah felt a calm sense of achievement. He had spoken, listened, and reflected, all in a way that built his foundation naturally. English no longer felt distant. It felt like a gentle, steady presence in his life. This is another secret habit. Smart learners speak with soft confidence, practicing regularly and embracing each gentle step toward fluency. Smart learners know that immersion in English helps build a strong foundation naturally.
They choose content that is easy to follow, calm, and engaging. Soft videos, beginner-friendly shows, or gentle storytelling. In a quiet evening, Leela sat comfortably on her sofa with a tablet, watching a short, calm English story for beginners. She didn't stress about understanding every word. Instead, she observed how sentences were formed, how words were pronounced, and how emotions were expressed in tone and gestures. Smart learners connect what they watch to what they already know. Leela softly repeated sentences aloud, noticed patterns in vocabulary and grammar, and imagined herself in similar situations. By combining observation with gentle practice, she strengthened listening, speaking, and comprehension together. They also take notes softly. Instead of writing every word, they jot down interesting phrases, new words, or expressions that resonate with them. These small notes serve as gentle reminders to review later, allowing learning to accumulate over time without pressure. Leela realized that watching English content daily, even for a short time, felt like a peaceful conversation with the language itself. It created familiarity, built confidence, and made learning feel calm and natural. By the end of the evening, she felt relaxed, inspired, and softly accomplished. Her mind had absorbed new words, phrases, and rhythms of English without any force, forming another layer of her growing foundation. This is another secret habit. Smart learners watch and learn from gentle English content, connecting observation, listening, and repetition to build understanding slowly and naturally. Building a strong English foundation requires daily practice, even if it is just a few minutes. Smart learners understand that consistency matters more than the amount of time spent in one sitting. In a quiet, cozy corner, Mia carried a small notebook everywhere she went. During a calm morning walk, she softly whispered a few English sentences to herself. At breakfast, she read a short paragraph aloud, noticing new words she had learned. Even 5 or 10 minutes spread throughout the day contributed to steady growth. Smart learners know that tiny, regular efforts accumulate. They do not wait for long study sessions or perfect conditions. Instead, they weave learning gently into daily life, making English a quiet, natural companion. Mia also combined small daily practices with reflection. At the end of the day, she softly reviewed what she had spoken, written, or read. This gentle reflection helped consolidate learning and strengthened memory without pressure or stress. They understand that learning is a journey, not a race. Even when progress feels slow, each small effort lays a brick in the foundation of fluency. Patience and regularity are far more effective than short bursts of intense but rushed practice. By evening, Mia felt calm and quietly proud. She had spoken, listened, read, and reflected, all in soft, deliberate ways. The language was becoming familiar, approachable, and steadily growing into her daily life. This is another secret habit. Smart learners practice daily, even in small moments, letting English naturally and gently become part of their life. Smart learners know that memory grows when words are linked to images, feelings, or stories. Instead of memorizing lists mechanically, they create gentle associations that make learning meaningful and lasting. In a softly lit study, Lucas opened his notebook with a few new words he had learned that day. For each word, he imagined a soft scene in his mind. A sunrise might bring an image of warm golden light spilling over quiet hills. Whisper might evoke the gentle rustle of leaves in the wind. By connecting words with visual or emotional cues, he created anchors in his memory. Smart learners also link words to personal experiences. Lucas remembered the last time he heard someone whisper a kind word or saw the sunrise over a calm morning. These gentle personal connections made each word more than a vocabulary item. They became part of his lived experience. They practiced quietly and consistently. Even a few words each evening linked with images or emotions deepen understanding naturally. The mind retains language more efficiently when learning is soft, personal, and emotionally connected. By the time Lucas closed his notebook, he felt a sense of calm accomplishment. The words were no longer abstract. They had become small companions in his mind, ready to be used in reading, writing, and speaking.
Smart learners connect words with images and emotions, creating lasting mental anchors that make English learning meaningful, natural, and enjoyable. Smart learners understand that curiosity fuels language growth. They ask questions softly, seeking understanding without pressure or judgment, allowing English to unfold naturally. In a quiet corner, Sophia read a short English story. When she came across a sentence she didn't fully understand, she paused and asked herself gentle questions. What does this word mean here? Why is this verb used in this way? Could I use this sentence in my own life? Smart learners know that asking questions is not about finding instant answers. It is about exploring language calmly, noticing patterns, and reflecting on meaning. Sophia sometimes wrote her questions softly in a notebook, returning to them later when she had more context or a gentler explanation. They also ask questions during listening and speaking practice. When hearing a phrase, they might wonder about pronunciation, usage, or tone. When speaking, they reflect on whether their sentences feel natural and meaningful. This gentle inquiry strengthens understanding and builds confidence over time. Sophia never rushed to solve every question immediately. She knew that learning is a process, and insights often appear gradually. Patience, reflection, and curiosity combined to create a quiet but powerful foundation for English fluency. By the end of her evening, Sophia felt peaceful and softly accomplished. Her questions had guided her thinking, deepened understanding, and made English feel approachable and alive. This is another secret habit. Smart learners ask gentle questions, exploring meaning with curiosity and calm reflection, allowing language to grow naturally and deeply. Smart learners know that language grows fastest when it is used in real, everyday situations. Even simple, gentle practice in daily life strengthens a strong English foundation. In a softly lit kitchen, Ethan described what he was doing as he prepared tea. He whispered softly, "I am boiling water. I am adding tea leaves. I am stirring gently." By connecting English to daily activities, the language became practical, meaningful, and easy to remember.
Smart learners also look for small opportunities to use English throughout the day. They label objects in the house with words they are learning, narrate simple actions, or speak short sentences to themselves during a walk. Even private, gentle practice helps the brain link words with real experiences. They combine this habit with reflection. After using English in daily life, Ethan thought softly about what he said, noting patterns or new words he might try tomorrow. By reinforcing learning through context, vocabulary and grammar settled naturally, without pressure or forced memorization. Smart learners understand that language is alive and functional. It grows best when it is softly applied, gently repeated, and connected to the rhythm of daily life. By evening, Ethan felt calm, inspired, and quietly proud. English had become not only something to learn, but something to live through and experience, a soft companion throughout his day. This is another secret habit. Smart learners use English in daily life, making language practical, natural, and gradually stronger with gentle, consistent practice. Smart learners know that reading aloud is a quiet but powerful way to strengthen English skills. It improves pronunciation, fluency, and confidence while gently connecting reading, speaking, and listening. In a softly lit study, Ava picked up a short English story. She read each sentence slowly and softly, listening to the sound of her own voice. Sometimes she stumbled on words, but instead of frustration, she paused, repeated gently, and continued, noticing subtle patterns in sentence flow and pronunciation. Smart learners understand that reading aloud is more than repeating words. It trains the mind to think in English, allows the tongue and lips to form sounds naturally, and develops a sense of rhythm in speech. Ava imagined she was telling a story to a friend, making each sentence meaningful and alive. They also reflect while reading aloud. She softly repeated difficult words, tried variations in tone, and noticed how punctuation influenced pauses and emphasis. This gentle practice strengthened both understanding and speaking skills, quietly but effectively. Smart learners never rush through reading aloud. Even a few minutes each day, when done consistently and calmly, builds fluency over time. They focus on clarity, comfort, and connection rather than speed or perfection. By the end of the session, Ava felt softly accomplished. Her voice had become a gentle guide for her mind, helping vocabulary, sentence structure, and rhythm settle naturally. English felt less like a challenge and more like a friend she was gradually getting to know.
This is another secret habit. Smart learners read aloud daily, linking mind, voice, and understanding, letting English grow gently, confidently, and steadily. Smart learners understand that repetition is the key to mastery, but it is most effective when done softly and consistently. Revisiting words, sentences, and concepts over time allows the mind to absorb English naturally without stress. In a quiet evening, Jack opened his notebook and glanced over the new words and sentences he had learned during the week. Instead of rushing to memorize them all at once, he softly read each one aloud, repeated their meanings, and created a gentle sentence of his own. This slow, steady repetition strengthened his memory, making recall easier and more natural. Smart learners know that repetition is not about pressure or speed. Even small, calm sessions each day, 10 minutes of review here, a few sentences there, have a profound effect over time. Jack noticed that words he had seen just days ago now felt familiar, and sentence structures became easier to form without thinking. They also combine repetition with reflection. Jack softly reflected on how he could use each word in real life, linking vocabulary to daily experiences. By reinforcing English gently, the mind slowly integrates it, creating a strong foundation that grows steadily. Smart learners understand that consistency matters more than intensity.
Daily, calm review builds confidence, reduces anxiety, and creates lasting familiarity with English. It turns learning from a stressful task into a peaceful habit. By the end of the evening, Jack felt a quiet sense of achievement. He hadn't rushed, he hadn't forced anything. He had repeated, reinforced, and connected, leaving his mind calm, ready for more gentle learning tomorrow. This is another secret habit. Smart learners repeat and reinforce gently, letting English settle naturally, steadily, and confidently in their minds. Smart learners understand that environment matters when building a strong English foundation. They gently surround themselves with English in daily life, allowing the mind to absorb it without pressure. In a quietly lit room, Hannah placed a few English books on her bedside table and a small calendar with simple English phrases on her wall. She played soft English podcasts in the background while doing chores, letting the words flow gently into her mind. There was no rush, no forced memorization, just a calm, immersive environment that quietly encouraged learning. Smart learners understand that passive exposure is powerful. Labels on household items, soft background music, or even sticky notes with new vocabulary create a subtle, continuous reminder of the language. Hannah sometimes paused to whisper a word she saw or heard, softly repeating it to herself, connecting it to her daily life. They also use media gently. Watching simple shows, reading short stories, or listening to calm English music allows the brain to pick up phrases, pronunciation, and context naturally. The key is consistency and a relaxed approach.
By the end of the evening, Hannah felt a quiet sense of comfort with English. It had become part of her environment, gently influencing her mind, creating familiarity, and strengthening her foundation over time. This is another secret habit. Smart learners surround themselves with English naturally, creating a calm, immersive environment that fosters learning gently, steadily, and effectively. Smart learners know that tracking progress is a gentle motivator. They keep a calm, personal record of words learned, sentences practiced, and reflections on daily learning. This simple habit reinforces knowledge and nurtures confidence without stress. In a softly lit study, Oliver opened his English journal. He noted the new words he had practiced today, soft sentences he had written, and small victories from listening and speaking exercises. He even added gentle reflections. Today I understood a new phrase, or I could speak this sentence confidently. Smart learners understand that a journal is a personal mirror, not a test. It helps them see how far they've come, reminds them of recurring patterns, and encourages gentle self-correction. Oliver sometimes reread past entries, softly recalling what he had learned and noticing improvements in pronunciation, vocabulary, and fluency. They also write down questions or areas of curiosity in the journal. These soft reminders guide future learning without creating pressure. By tracking progress calmly, smart learners celebrate each small win and create a visual map of growth. By the end of the evening, Oliver closed his journal with a quiet smile. He felt accomplished, aware of his progress, and gently motivated to continue tomorrow. Tracking learning had not only strengthened English, but also fostered self-awareness and patience. This is another secret habit. Smart learners use a journal to track progress, reflecting gently, celebrating wins, and guiding their learning in a calm, mindful way.
Smart learners know that learning phrases is often more effective than memorizing single words. Phrases provide context, natural flow, and practical usage, helping beginners speak and understand English more confidently. In a quiet study, Sophia focused on simple phrases she encountered in her reading and listening sessions. Instead of isolating words like walk or happy, she practiced phrases such as take a walk or feel happy today. She whispered them softly to herself, imagined situations where they could be used, and repeated them gently throughout the day. Smart learners understand that phrases help internalize sentence structure and natural rhythm. They show how words connect, how verbs are used, and how tone and emotion change meaning. Sophia noticed that repeating these phrases aloud made forming her own sentences easier and more intuitive.
They also practice using phrases in daily life. While cooking, walking, or writing a journal entry, Sophia quietly inserted her learned phrases. This gentle repetition, linked to real experiences, strengthened memory and built confidence naturally. By evening, Sophia felt a calm sense of mastery. She hadn't rushed or forced memorization. Instead, phrases had softly woven themselves into her mind, ready to be used in speaking, reading, or writing tomorrow. This is another secret habit. Smart learners learn phrases instead of isolated words, connecting meaning, usage, and rhythm for a natural, lasting foundation in English. Smart learners understand that review is a gentle way to reinforce knowledge. Before resting, they quietly revisit what they have learned, softening the mind for consolidation and long-term retention. In a calm, softly lit room, Liam opened his notebook and skimmed through the words, sentences, and phrases he had practiced today. He didn't rush or pressure himself to memorize everything. Instead, he softly whispered a few sentences, reviewed the meanings of new words, and reflected on what had felt easy and what needed more attention. Smart learners know that even a short, calm review is powerful. It strengthens memory, deepens comprehension, and allows the brain to process information naturally. Liam noticed that repeating and reflecting quietly helped words and phrases settle more firmly in his mind. They also connect review with reflection. Liam softly asked himself, "Which words did I enjoy learning today? Which sentences could I use tomorrow?" By combining review with gentle self-reflection, smart learners maintain motivation, clarity, and a sense of achievement. By the end of his evening, Liam felt calm, accomplished, and softly ready for rest. His mind had reviewed, reinforced, and prepared itself to absorb new knowledge the following day. This quiet ritual became a cornerstone of his English learning journey. This is another secret habit. Smart learners review gently at the end of each day, consolidating learning, reflecting softly, and nurturing a steady, lasting foundation in English. Smart learners understand that community can softly enhance learning. Interacting with others, even gently and online, exposes learners to new words, phrases, and perspectives in a supportive environment. In a quiet evening, Emma joined a small, friendly online group for English beginners. She didn't feel pressured to speak perfectly. Instead, she observed, read messages, and occasionally typed a short sentence or question. The gentle interaction allowed her to see English in natural use, softening the learning process and giving her confidence.
Smart learners know that language is social. Reading, listening, or speaking in a community helps them practice naturally, understand context, and learn practical expressions. Emma also noticed patterns in polite phrases, greetings, and small talk, practical tools she could use daily. They approach community interaction with calm curiosity. Even if they make mistakes, they treat them as opportunities to learn gently. Emma received corrections kindly, tried again softly, and felt her confidence grow steadily over time. By evening, Emma felt a quiet sense of belonging. English had become not just a subject to study, but a medium for connection, gentle exploration, and supportive learning. The community offered encouragement, examples, and soft guidance, all helping to strengthen her foundation naturally. This is another secret habit. Smart learners connect with gentle English communities, observing, interacting, and practicing in calm, supportive ways that build confidence and understanding steadily. Smart learners understand that a calm mind absorbs knowledge best. Ending the day with quiet reflection and gratitude not only nurtures motivation, but also strengthens the foundation of learning. In a softly lit bedroom, Noah lay down with his notebook beside him. He closed his eyes for a moment and thought about the day, the new words he had learned, the phrases he had practiced, the sentences he had spoken, and the gentle progress he had made. He whispered softly to himself, "Thank you for learning. Thank you for curiosity. Thank you for small victories." Smart learners know that acknowledging progress, however small, is powerful. They celebrate quiet achievements, view mistakes as lessons, and embrace the journey with patience and calm. Noah reflected on what had been enjoyable, what challenged him, and what he could try tomorrow, all without stress or pressure. They also visualize using English naturally in life, reading a story, having a gentle conversation, or writing a few soft sentences. This visualization creates a peaceful, confident mindset, helping the brain retain and organize new knowledge even during rest. By the time Noah drifted into sleep, he felt calm, accomplished, and softly inspired. His mind had absorbed the lessons of the day, strengthened by reflection, gentle practice, and gratitude. English had become not a task, but a quiet companion, ready to grow further tomorrow. This is the final secret habit. Smart learners end each day with gratitude and gentle reflection, allowing English to settle naturally in their mind, creating a lasting, strong foundation. Thank you for joining us tonight on Whisped Tales. We hope these gentle habits inspire you to build a strong English foundation, even if you are just beginning. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe and stay tuned. Next time, we'll bring more soothing and insightful tales that will guide your learning journey. Sleep well, let your mind rest, and wake up tomorrow ready for another calm, joyful step in learning English.